conference discussion. Now I'm an appropriator, and I was forged in that culture, and I know, left to their own devices, that the appropriators bicamerally and bipartisanly can come to conclusion. Again, sometimes it comes to the four principles of the leaders of the House and Senate to weigh in, and I think that we will have a very productive time in a short period of time to come to some conclusion. We're grateful, inspired by the courage and the determination of America's workers. They have shown during this crisis such strong character. But nonetheless, they have to pay the bills when they come due, whether it's a rent check, paying their mortgage, their credit card bills, their car payment, the list goes on. Some of them didn't even have gas money because they didn't have cash or any more line of or credit card ability to put gas in the car to go to work. It's really hard for some in the administration to understand how people live paycheck to paycheck and how marginal some of their existences are. Makes a difference in how they educate their children, how they put food on the table, again, how they pay the rent, etc. So we thank them and are so glad that, as the President said earlier, as soon as possible or immediately. So I don't know which is faster, but the quickest of the two, they will receive their back pay and the pay that is due today. We're grateful to Democrats on both sides of the Capitol for their unity that was very, very important in these discussions. It's sad, though, that it's taken this long to come to an obvious conclusion. We talked about missed bills and financial security being shaken, sometimes questioning, putting in question the credit, how people's credit is viewed. And that's particularly problematic for our veterans, many of whom are in their jobs with security clearances. And a security clearance is affected if your credit rating is diminished. So we are grateful to our veterans who have donned the uniform of our country to protect us and then moved on to the civilian side to continue their public service. And we want them to have all the respect they deserve, as well as our other public employees, federal employees, who are working so hard to meet the needs of the American people. We value their purpose. We appreciate their diligence in performing their jobs, whether, as the leader said, keeping us safe, and in terms of civilian aviation, whether it's the FBI, other areas of public safety, but also just in so many ways, whether it's food safety and the rest. The list goes on. You're familiar with it. But we don't want in any way any shutdown of government to diminish the respect that we have for the purpose of our public employees and the excellence of their service. Disagreement in policy should never be a reason to shut down government, really shouldn't, especially, again, for a period of time that has an impact on the paychecks. I'm sad it has taken this long. I'm glad that we've come to a conclusion today as to how we go forward in the next 3 weeks. And again, I salute the Democratic leader in the Senate for the work that he did to bring this, because in the House we passed 10, but sometimes we passed the bill. Working with our leadership, Mr. Hoyer, 10 times he brought bills to the floor to open up government. And the most recent one that was presented on the Senate floor yesterday was so simple. $12 billion for disaster assistance and open up government for 2 weeks. The Republicans said no. I think the public weighed in. And I quote Lincoln all the time, public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. And we thank the public for weighing in so strongly, for paying attention. And I think that will be the success of this conference. Again, as an appropriator, I participated in many conferences when we used to have them. This conference, that the public awareness is so increased and the public interest in it is so sharpened that they will see what the decisions are that we have to make and help weigh in on those decisions. I think
Madam
we can
Speaker,
do
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam
Okay.
Speaker.
Wait, one at a time.
Madam, okay, thank you. Madam
Come
Speaker.
on, one at a
wait,
time, please.
Madam Speaker, no, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, thank you so much. The president has wanted this wall funding for a long time, but it wasn't until Democrats won the House that he really went to the mat for it. How much of all of this do you think is about the new power dynamic and his desire to show you who's really in charge?
I don't get your question. I mean, the point is today we have come to a way to go forward to debate the best ways to protect our border. I don't see this as any power play.
I mean, I'm referring to the past 36 days and the fact that he held out over wall funding.
Well, if you're saying that the president held out over wall funding to show who was in charge, I think that's quite a bad statement to make about any leader in our country. But what I do say is let's go forward, get this done. The leader mentioned lessons learned and hope that people know that we cannot hold our public employees hostage because we have a disagreement. For how many, 34 days, is it now over 1 month, having an impact on their lives. So I don't want to make any characterizations of the president's motivation. You'll have to ask him.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Speaker Pelosi, did the president underestimate you politically? And can you assure the public that there won't be another impasse in 3 weeks?
I can't assure the public on anything that the president will do, but I do have to say I'm optimistic. I see every challenge or every crisis as an opportunity to do the right thing for the American people, and at the same time make people aware of what the decisions are that we have here, and hopefully that will make everybody come together in a way that is unifying for our country. I can't characterize the president's evaluation of me.
I just say one more thing in reference to that. I suggested to Leader McConnell that we use a conference committee format. That conference committee has Democrats and Republicans, House and Senate, sitting at a table, has worked very successfully on Homeland Security and everything and all the other bills that haven't been signed. Go ahead, Cheryl.
The State of the Union go on as planned now.
The State of the Union is not planned now. I get that. What I'd said to the president is when government is open, we will discuss a mutually agreeable date. And I'll look forward to doing that and welcoming the president to the House of Representatives for the State of the Union when we agree on that mutual agreeable
Go ahead,
date.
Joe.
This morning you were planning to announce a border security vision of Democrats, what you want. What is the state of that proposal, the status of it? Also, can you accept any sort of physical barrier in the border security plan?
The work of the conference committee will draw out everyone's view of what is the best way to protect our borders. Our chair of our Appropriations Subcommittee on Homeland Security, Congresswoman Lucille Rohrabach Allard, knows this issue very well. She will go to the table with our best ideas on how to protect our border. The leader referenced some in terms of infrastructure that relates to our ports of entry. The president talks about drugs coming into our country. 90% of the drugs come through the ports of entry. They don't come one way or another, as he was describing. They come through our ports of entry. So let us increase the infrastructure where the drugs are coming in. Let us increase, as the leader said, the technology to scan for that, for drugs, guns, other contraband, and the rest. Let us talk about some of the things we have in common with the president in terms of humanitarian assistance for those coming over. But we're not having a conference committee right now. We'll leave it up to our appropriators to come to that. But some of the things we were going to discuss were where we think, where we have evidence-based knowledge about how we best secure our border.
Last one. Go ahead.
As someone who was in these negotiations, do you think the president underestimated the speaker? And do you think that he thought he could get what he wanted?
I think he thought no one should ever underestimate the Speaker, as Donald Trump has learned. But in addition to that, and I think Nancy would be the first, our Democrats stayed totally unified. And certainly in the Senate, they made many attempts to take some of our Democrats and get them to side with them. And the unity of our two caucuses really worked, because I believe the President himself believed and was told by a couple of his advisors, you've written about them, that, oh, just hold out and we'll get the Democrats to crack and join us. In the Senate, more relevant than the House because they have the majority, he was unable to do that. And I think after 3 weeks, as the toll mounted and it became clear, we helped make it clear to the President, to the public, that the President was the one in charge of the shutdown, that he just, he knew that it was a lost cause. Thank you. You want to go?
Clear on your position. Are you no longer ruling out any money for the wall? Are you now?
Wait, have I not been clear on the wall? Okay. No, I have been very clear on the wall. Yeah, I've been very clear. But let me just go to the previous question and say this and associate myself with the remarks of the leader. In our caucus, the beauty of it is the mix. And I always say, when people say to me, oh, you're so good at organizing your caucus. No, I don't unify our caucus. Our values unify us. And I'm sure it's the same in the Senate. And the fact is that our diversity is our strength, the differences in so many different ways, including differences of opinion. That's our strength. But our unity is our power. And that is what maybe the President underestimated.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Are you open to money for the wall now?